the decisions of NATO heads of states and the governments of 2008 Bucharest Summit decision, which explicitly says membership, and it was confirmed by every single summit held after 2008 Bucharest Summit. So I think that well, the membership is a key. It should be our departure point, and as Elena said, as Bartu said, I completely agree. Now, it gives more strength to our communication strategy internally and externally, both. There is no need to be shy of decisions that have been taken, and I think it's important for NATO as well. Second, to focus on our external communication, focus on particularities of capitals, different capitals. Decisions, after all, are taken not in NATO headquarters. They are taken in a capital. So, of course, the strategy can't discuss particularities. And I think that it should be, I agree that it should be more general, but it should set up the mechanism, how to develop the positions and how to promote them. Of course, these positions not necessarily should be disclosed always. I mean, the processes can be confidential, and it's not part of this particular strategy. But I think that what the strategy should say to itself, there could be capital-specific communication messages. And my third point is also, I agree with Marika that, well, a holistic approach to the integration process, a holistic approach to the security, which includes economy, includes social development, includes all the other aspects. Without, well, I don't want to say the words that everyone knows that without security there is no development, and without development there is no security. Those issues are so much interlinked that we cannot just divide it into and then, of course, the third component is democracy, democratic development, and freedom. Those three components are absolutely indivisible, and I don't think, I can't even think how they can be different, how they can be differently promoted with it. And my last point is, I said it already, I think, for the merge strategy. I think that, again, it's all basis on security, economic development, and freedom. So all those three components are the same for our NATO integration objectives and our EU ambitions. So I think that if we are speaking about the generalized document, I think I'm still in favor of having the merged.
We did our best to justify this approach about emerging the document from our side. But anyway, like I mentioned, we have to finalize discussion on this matter. I mean, those who are against it, just once again, maybe we can have discussion, just a short discussion on this matter and on details, and have final decision on the format and the shape of the document.
Yeah, I mean, of course it's up to you, and I understand completely. Oops. Hello.
It works.
Oh, really? Okay. I understand exactly why you're saying strategically your EU and NATO directions are connected, of course, and there's many similar benchmarks you have to fulfill for both joining EU and joining NATO. But there's also some differences, and I'm afraid that I understand on the outreach using the NATO information centres, the EU centres, you can address both topics with your audiences in Georgia, but I do feel that there are also so many differences. You might lose the substance of the NATO integration process, which is different, which has different benchmarks as well. and you might lose some of that, and your activities are going to be different, and your stakeholders might be similar, because NATO and EU membership is similar, but your activities will be different, the topics will be different. And also, I know that EU has felt they prefer, in a way, to be slightly separate, because NATO can be more controversial than EU. So I still, and interestingly, just working out your strategy, obviously it's complicated just to get one thing right, NATO, Georgia. I mean, you deliberately haven't written a joint strategy because it's just hard to figure this out by itself. And then have the overlap. So I don't know, maybe there's a way to have a joint outreach strategy domestically on both, but have two separate strategies for the overarching thing. I don't know.
Did you formally make this that they are not comfortable with NATO? I mean, you said that you know that EU is not comfortable.
I've heard from a couple of people, but I can't say EU formally is not
but there's
happy.
no argument then if you have for a couple of people.
Yeah, no, of course, I'm not saying formally, I'm just saying...
It's a decision now to make it, so when you're referring
No, I
to
mean,
making it a little bit.
I've just heard, I'll just clarify, sorry, absolutely. I've just heard it from a couple of people in EU that they prefer to sort of separate it, but of course there may be...
Where are these couple of
It's up to
people?
you.
Political level, bureaucracy level?
Just a sort of communications, political sort of level, but it's not official.
Okay, good to know.
Of course it's up to you.
Thank you, good to know.
Just one comment pro-merging document. Again, it's also beneficial when it comes to the fundraising, because when it's a joint document and values and joint activities, in practical terms, in the end of the day, you are having the practical activities at ground, meetings, media campaigning, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So let's look in a practical way to the document, to the action plan and implementation, and then we go to the fundraising. And in that terms, it's much more flexible and beneficial for all stakeholders. So that's one pro-argument, pro-merging argument from our side.
Is there a way to have a joint document and then have some separate kind of lines?
Of course,
separate
it's separate afterwards, but it's like over document which will just compile different components, including those which are related to external communication, more, less open documents will be also kind of annexed to the main document. It's just a matter of discussion and matter of the work.
If I may just add one point here, as it was mentioned by Pavel Kotelia. So far, allies in Georgia agreed to have a communication information strategy on Euro-Atlantic integration. It's page number 114 from Annual National Program Georgia NATO. It's a commitment taken by Georgia, accepted by allies. If Georgia wants to change this commitment, no problem. It's your document, you do what you want. But I stress is that in our countries, our Slovenian colleagues also mentioned, in Romania, we have different strategies. Because it's different goals, different tools, whatever you put to achieve that goals, especially in the working on membership. Yeah? But if you feel more comfortable to work, please. No problem.
It seems that we have final discussion on that issue, so we are agreeing on the first document. And I think it's very important for Georgi to have information. So, and if we don't have any comments, let's agree on waiting to the final second draft of the strategy, and once it's ready, then we will agree on the meeting and the format. Is it true?
So you're going to merge them now?
Next meeting.
As soon as we have the second draft, but before we start working on the second draft, we need to receive your feedback and your comments and remarks regarding the existing document. So we would really appreciate if you send written comments and your notes regarding the strategy. That would be really helpful, and it would really give us some guarantees that your input is also taken into consideration as well. So as soon as we have the second draft, and we plan that by the end of January latest, we'll have the second draft. We will disseminate the electronic version
of the document for your consideration and safety meeting, definitely with the state minister's office together.
If I may just to add a couple of things on that. First of all, thank you very much for this very kind of a brainstorming session as well to me. Some conceptual things were also touched upon, and I support what Eka says. We will need your written comments for sure. And for the last time, I want to thank many, but especially a couple of people who did really good job in writing those comments, sending it via email, like Elena did, and like Nodar did, and please also, if you want to change, some things and you have the wording, please also provide that wording, because that will be really useful. Thank you.
Hello. Yes. I also want to support this idea of different strategies. Let's say, as Radu said, with NATO we have absolutely different cooperation, absolutely different agenda. Yes, our final goal in both our cases is membership in these organizations of the alliance. But we are at absolutely different levels, and we have absolutely different also documents, absolutely different frameworks. And from my personal point of view, I cannot say that it is, I represent, it's yes, I represent the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but this idea we have not discussed yet with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So, of course, after consultations with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we will send you the written confirmation. But my gut feeling is that these two strategies have to be separately. And also, as the target, the idea is to have strategic communication strategy with the audience outside the country, and of course the Georgian community here, inside of the country. This strategy that is will be elaborated, the strategy for foreign use has to be really very closely elaborated with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because we ourselves, we have our own strategy, how to do what, and it's our diplomatic work. Of course, this strategy is drafted by the former diplomats, and of course, I am sure all the diplomatic nuances will be taken into consideration. But anyway, we would really very much appreciate it if it is done and elaborated very closely with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention that during the first meeting, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was attending the meeting and was sort of actively involved in the discussions. So we hope that for the next meeting we will have the final vision regarding the format of the document. But again, when we speak about different approaches, different stages of development regarding both directions, we have to take into consideration that we talk about the strategy on strategic communication, which means that we have to shape the document which will reflect the ways of effective communication with the specific audiences, with the larger audiences on the issues related to EU and NATO integration. And that's quite, kind of specific way of drafting the strategy. It's quite different. I understand what you mean, but again, we hope that for the next meeting we will have more clear approach from your side regarding the vision of the document. And meanwhile, we will have the communication with Minister of Foreign Affairs regarding the content. I would like to ask Georgi to be in touch with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and with relevant divisions on this document, and to have more precise meetings and communication regarding the content of the document to avoid any miscommunication.
What is the deadline for elaboration of the strategy? Do you have a deadline?
Actually, we are just in the process of drafting, and we are setting the deadlines ourselves. We appreciate it to be done as
think Sandra mentioned it, that it can be the general communication strategy with the two lines. Of course, NATO lines, well, the NATO even rhetorics can be different, or must be different from EU integration rhetorics, because in NATO's case, we have the clear issue of the clear promise of membership, political promise of membership. I think that that's really the strengths of Georgia's communication strategy, and it doesn't mean that we are in conflict here. I think even it can be done in both ways, but I'm more in favor of having one umbrella strategy which has the two lines in general. So I don't think that it's a hugely, deeply controversial issue. And I think Sandra said that it can be two directions under the one umbrella.
I suppose you could have an overlap where values and general directions, they're the same, and you could do communications about that together. And then if you have separate sort of, and then go into sort of the separate things, EU just does that and NATO just does that, and maybe it can work like that.
Yeah, that's
So start off with the values and the general goals being a nice vision for the country, and then separately chart the different paths and the benchmarks and the different audiences for each issue. It's a possibility, yeah, why not? I mean, certainly on defence, there is the EU Common Security and Defence Policy, as well as there is NATO to work on defence. And then at NATO, there's the annual national programme, which includes indicators on governance and democracy and justice as well, just as there is in EU. So there are the similarities, but then there's the differences. So,
yeah, but for example, you mentioned the security sector reform.
yeah.
It fails both defense and EU. If it's about the law enforcement issues, well, the NATO is not much dealing with this particular part. But in general, they are in favor of having the effective reform in
Absolutely.
the entire security sector.
So just to summarize this idea, because from the practical point of view, when drafting the action plans, that it's kind of very difficult to divide when you are approaching the EU, whether you are approaching on NATO. So the practical point of view, it's much easier to do both. But I agree with Marika and David. So to have one general umbrella strategy, if you call it the national strategy, even more. So the umbrella strategy, and have to make two separate directions, because the reporting and implementation and the subordination, they are different. There are the two separate state commissions, there are the two separate institutions abroad, the NATO and the EU, but one umbrella, I think, doesn't count. So it helps when you have the communication with the public, so it's much easier. So I think we don't need to complicate the situation, just agree on one umbrella strategy with two main directions and the two action plans. So I think it's doable, it's manageable, because the one institution is coordinating, one institution is implementing. There are the two oversight institutions, the commissions, and the members are the same. So it's kind of, I think it's much easier to have one umbrella, two directions. That's all.
But anyway, let's wait then for the Ministry for Foreign Affairs for their formal confirmation, right? That they agree on the joint document. We hope to have it as soon as possible.
Okay. First, we have two representatives here, and I was not present for the first discussions. I'm sorry, we had some changes at the ministry, but I think the other representative was present here during the first discussion. I don't know, so we will need to elaborate this.
Yeah, we'll be in touch with you, so hope to have the confirmation, because it's important to have the core Ministry for Foreign Affairs.
We'll come back with the decisions.
Just one more point, just one more question. Are there other communication strategies in development at the moment? Because I think there might be a temptation to put everything into this EU-NATO strategy, including influence, counter-propaganda strategy, because I'm imagining that foreign policy communication strategy is an overarching one that goes above this. But am I wrong? Are there other communication strategies in development? I know MOD have their own communication strategy. What do you think? I mean, do you think there are others going on at the same time? Or do you want to try and include everything into this? For example, foreign policy? Because Ilya talked about conflict resolution.
Yes, because at the ministry, the one that we have, it's on media and it has more broad direction. And also they speak about the Geneva discussions, conflict resolution in this way, the occupation of the territories and so on. So more eyes, more broad and covers everything. Promotion of the country, which is also very important for us. So for me, that's why I said it is this strategy has to be very closely communicated with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because we have the promotion of the country also in our strategy, and somehow the promotion of the country, it also involves speaking with the skeptics or with our friends in different countries. So these things are very much related. It's not only EU or NATO strategy, but other strategies also. That's why I said we have to be.
Okay, so you have your own foreign policy strategy.
That's why actually all the ministries and related ministries are involved in the process actively to hear their voice and their position on particular issues raised by Sandra or Minister of Defense is here, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and we take into consideration their position when it comes to their own document and how they should be reflected in this more comprehensive strategy.
And of course, there's a Prime Minister communication strategy that might cover the 4 reform priorities of education, infrastructure, economy and good governance. And then how will they connect that domestic agenda with this international agenda? That will be interesting to see.
That's one of the most important part of the strategy, where this way of communication, coordination among different bodies is reflected. So I think that's the thing which will help to have more systemic approach to the communication in general. Okay, if we don't have any other comments, I would like to express my appreciation for your very active involvement to 11th Foundation, for organizing this event, to our Slovak partners, who work with great support. It's really added value of your involvement in your events today. And so we're waiting, as agreed, we're waiting for your written commands, and then we will proceed. We'll inform you regarding the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Final comment.
Well, I just wanted to join the words of appreciation, and the discussion was a real success, although there are some questions remain to be answered. That's very good. That's why these kind of forums do exist. And on behalf of the Vladimir Foundation, I would like to thank all the stakeholders, all the participants of this great process, to the Office of the State Minister of European and Atlantic Integration, of course to our Slovak friends. Thank you very much for your very valuable comments. Of course, to our experts, to all the discussants here, all the participants, and I would like to just assure you that our foundation will further pursue the same values, same interests, and the same cause, and will be willing to contribute to the process of Georgia getting closer to the Atlantic community. Thank you.